Hello and welcome to another Royals Review podcast. This time we are taking a look at Reading's 1-1 draw away to Wycombe. As you may be able to tell, this will be a little different this week with Jimmy away on holiday. So I'm going to take over solo this week so we can still get an episode out for you. As some of you may be aware, we did miss an episode last week because it was purely marred by the departure of, I'd like to say, Reading legend Ruben Selles. Obviously left the Royals for a job in the Championship with Hull. I think it's a good opportunity to thank him for everything he's done for the team. I think he leaves with no bad feelings. I think every Reading fan really should understand why he's left and really just look at it and appreciate what he's done for the club in a very, very miserable time. That said, the news has been quite hard to take, I think. And I really struggled to think about anything Reading FC related at the back end of last week, which is largely why we missed our episode last week. As I said on Twitter, once the news was released, it's very important to look after yourself and to look after each other if you are feeling any sort of mental repercussions of the ongoing saga at Reading. Our DMs are always open, so please do reach out if you're struggling, because help is there and we're always here to help out, particularly Reading fans, because we're all in this together. And hopefully it won't be too much longer, but obviously no promises because things have been pretty horrible for us Reading fans. The end of Ruben Selles' reign, though, does see Noel Hunt come back in as the Royals manager. He did have a very brief stint after the departure of Paul Ince, of which I believe he managed 5 games for Reading, in which we didn't win a single one of. He's now managed 1 game for Reading, was the 1-1 draw against Wycombe, which we'll come on to. But I actually quite like the appointment of Noel Hunt. I know we are not blessed with, well, any options at all, really, because I imagine the financials just aren't there. But Noel is a club legend who has been through it all on the pitch, off the pitch for Reading. He's actually one of my favourite players back in the day for the Royals. I watched him at Dundee United as a really, really young kid, and when Reading signed him, I was over the moon. And he did so much for the club, as I say, on the pitch, but has been influential to not only the first team, but the under-23s team, which he's managed for a period, which to me proves his worth in the first team. Because when you think about the players we've had to play due to the squad depth issues, the likes of Garcia, Ital, I'm not going to reel them all off, but we're talking about players that are all under 23. So he's been a massive influence on these players, even though it's been Ruben's side, and I'm sure he's conducted a lion's share of all the tactics and all that kind of stuff. Noel Hunt knows a lot of these players very, very well, and I think he will do a fantastic job for us. On top of that, he is definitely a character that we can all get behind and support. As I said, he's done everything for the club on and off the pitch. He really is a club legend, and you can tell from his interviews how much the club means to him and how determined he is to prove himself. I think he deserves a chance, and that's not just at Reading. I think he deserves a chance as a first-team manager after all of the work he's done for the lower age groups. I think he's been really, really strong as Reading's under-23 manager. Shown already this season with some fantastic results, even in the Champions League. So, all to Noel's credit. I'm actually excited about the rest of this season. Obviously, the first thing on everyone's lips was, well, what's going to happen in January now that Ruben Selles has gone? And I don't know, but I'm trying not to worry too much about that and focus on getting results on the pitch, of which we did. We went to Wycombe at the weekend. We came back from 1-0 down to snatch a point, and arguably probably could have won the game. I think if you look at the game as a 90 minutes, which obviously you should, I think Reading just edged it. There was more shots on goal from the Royals, more chances. I just thought we probably could have nicked it, but you have to consider that Wycombe are top of League One. They are the strongest team in a division. Our away form has not been great for a while, although we'll come on to that too. It's getting better. So I think to go away to the strongest team in the league and grab a point, I think you can absolutely be chuffed with that. So all credit to the boys, and credit to Noel as well for coming in short notice and getting a result. The First thing I wanted to say about that before we touch on a few of the players is the Reading fans were awesome against Wycombe. They were loud from minute one to right to the very end, and if you watch the highlights as well, all you can hear throughout is just the Reading fans in full voice. So full credit to everyone that was there. That's exactly what we want to see. We want to see Reading fans backing the new manager and this squad, because they do deserve it. Once again, the squad and us fans, don't get me wrong, are the ones that have to deal with all of these sort of bad news stories that keep coming. So the fact that they've been resilient and they've shown that they can dig deep and get a solid point against a strong away team, a strong team away from home, it is super commendable. So hats off to them, and hats off to the fans that made the trip, because although not very long, it's been a tough week and a tough season and a tough couple of seasons and a tough for a little while. So fair play to you. Looking at a couple of players then, obviously Harvey Knibbs scored the goal. He takes his league total to 5 goals this season. He seems like he can't stop scoring, which, I mean, I'm all for. He is so vital to this team. I think we saw that when he had a few games off. He played further forward than he started the season. Like, he started the season in the sort of midfield three. He was more, he was further forward against Wycombe, which may also be why he was in that position when the keeper made the save from Sam Smith's initial shot. He was there to poach. I'm happy with that as long as he's scoring goals. But yeah, I just think Harvey Knibbs is so good, and he's really proving that now. He's really proving that he's a goal scorer. He does so much more than that. He covers so much ground. He wins aerial duels, although that's not like a huge strength of his. He chucks himself about, and I just think he's fantastic. So keep that going. Another player who we have to talk about is Lewis Wing. Lewis Wing is genuinely one of the best players I've seen play for Reading in a long time. I think when you watch what he does, he is one of the standout players in this league. I actually went to Stevenage away with a non-Reading fan. We one of our friends is from around there, and we took him along. He said that, like, Lewis Wing stands out like a sore thumb here. He's controlling the play. He's picking passes that literally no one else could even see. He is so good. He's added goals to his game now. He scored a couple the other day. But he wins the Man of the Match award from WhoScored.com for the Wycombe performance. And that is largely down to the stuff that he was doing off the ball. So not only is he great, he's a great striker of the ball, he's great passing, he's great at creating chances, but he made 6 tackles against Wycombe, which is by far the most of any player in that match. It's actually more than Wycombe made in total, which just goes to show how impressive a six tackles in one game is. He ended up with a rating of 7.42, which, to be honest, looks quite low compared to the perfect 10 rating he had last time out. But that is really strong, really, really strong. He continues his strong pass success rate. He's just awesome. Like, he is just so good, and I think he's seriously pivotal to the success of this Reading side. There's a question that I'll touch on later about who are the most important players. I think it would be very, very tough to argue against Lewis Wing being the most important player. Well, he's definitely in the top 3 most important players for Reading, in my opinion, if not the most. Another quick stat to reel off: Sam Smith, 7 aerial duels won against Wycombe. Again, the most of any player in the game. We've spoken for weeks now just about how important Sam Smith is, and the aerial duels that he wins, the attacking ones, well, I mean both, but the attacking ones are so important. He's always providing an option for any of the back lines to get the ball out. He's there to sweep it all up and bring the other players into play. So I just wanted to touch upon Sam Smith again, because he is fantastic, and he's proven just how important he is to this Reading side. Like, it's a game where he doesn't get on the score sheet, which, you know, as a striker, and Reading's only striker or lone striker in this game, you'd probably look at it and think, oh well, how could it be that great? But the fact that he provides himself as an option constantly, time and time again, and is winning these headers and knockdowns, etc., just proves like how fundamental he is to the success of this team. And we even saw that when he was injured, that Reading were sort of starting to slip. And now he's come back and Reading look completely different side. Which brings us nicely to Reading's form. Like Reading's form continues to be solid across, well, both home and away. We know from speaking about it numerous times how good the home form is. But if you look at the last 6 matches, Reading are sixth, well, joint fifth for form, with 1 win, 1 loss. Oh, sorry, 2 wins, 3 draws, and 1 loss in the last 6. Which, you know, when we think the times where we've been going on huge droughts for away, the form is slowly starting to turn around. And also, you have to keep in mind some of the teams that we've been coming up against away from home this season. I've mentioned it loads and loads, and I know you can't keep saying this, but we've come up against a lot of tough opposition. None tougher than Wycombe. They're top of the league. They have the best. They have solid home form, joint top. So, you know, it's pretty tough to go to Adams Park this season and get anything. So the fact that Reading have done it is very impressive. Like, if you look at the last 6, they've won 5 and drawn 1, and that's against us. So I think we can take lots of positives away from that. And yeah, hold our heads high. First game under Noel, he's only going to improve. I'm really hoping he can get his first win as Reading first team manager. Maybe even when we go away to Warsaw. I mean, you'd like to think Reading can win there. But yeah, I will continue to support him. Right, we won't cover the Warsaw game too much because it's just me. But there were some fantastic questions sent in from you guys on Twitter, so I will give them a bit of time. I'll also chuck them to Jimmy, and he can maybe add his input on social media. So keep an eye out for that. But thanks as ever for anyone who did send in questions. We love receiving them. We love answering them. So really appreciate it. Now, the first question is a very interesting question. I've kind of touched upon it a little bit, but this came in and it says, who is the single most important player that Reading FC need to hang on to in January? Real tough one. And ultimately, Reading really need to try their best to keep hold of everyone, because as we've covered millions of times, the squad depth is so thin. It's not going to be great to lose anyone. Had you asked me this question a couple of weeks ago, I probably would have spun it and said the most important person to keep for Reading is Ruben Selles. We don't have that luxury anymore. He's now gone. So I think there are a few options for me here. I think Lewis Wing is probably my answer here. I think he's the best player Reading have. I think he does everything, creates, helps defend, gives manages the tempo of our attacks and defence. I think he's fundamental. He's the club captain too, so that also helps. I've already mentioned them previously. I think Nibs and Smith are very important, and I'd hate to lose them. The worst thing is about those 3 is they are probably the most. They'll probably be the most popular when January comes around, because they are the ones that are getting on the score sheet and winning man of the match awards and all that kind of stuff. But I think one player, and I actually think someone replied to this, so sorry if I'm copying you here, but I think another player that needs mentioning here is Joel Pereira. The amount of points that he's won us or not lost us since he's returned from injury is huge. So I would be very upset to lose Joel Pereira. I actually don't think we will. As I said, I think of all the players that are likely to leave, he's probably quite low down that order. But I think it would be horrible if we lost him. I don't particularly want to see David Button in goal for any more games than is absolutely necessary. So I'd really like to keep hold of Joel Pereira. But yeah, that's quite a long answer, and I've mentioned half the starting 11. But hopefully that answers it for you. The flip side of that question is somebody has said, if we had to lose one player in Jan, who would that be and why? So again, I want to reiterate that I don't want to lose anyone. I think all the particularly the starting 11, I think they're all fundamental to the success
of Reading this season, and I really, really don't want to lose anyone. But that said, if I'm pressed to answer this question, I think I'd go for Ben Elliott, which the main reason is I think we'd probably get quite a good fee for him. I've been very impressed with him. I know Jimmy's had him down as one of the top performers for Reading this season, and I mean, like particularly recently with the 3 assists in one game, etc. Pretty hard to argue with that. But I think we'd get a solid fee for him, and I think he's got quite a high ceiling. So I think that would be a good shout because we obviously need the money. But I also think that is probably one of the positions where we have the most stable coverage. So in my head, we'd probably just drop Nibs in instead of Elliott, or when Andy Edom comes back, we can put Michael Craig into midfield. So I think we could probably just cover it. Like, we're really clutching at straws when I say that, but I think it would be possible. So I think Ben Elliott, purely because the money, and I think we potentially could cover him. Obviously, losing anyone would suck because we just need legs as well. Like, the squad is so thin. If we are to lose anyone, it just increases the workload for everyone else. So I'm really not suggesting or hoping that Ben Elliott does leave, but I think the fact that we get a fee, a large fee, makes him probably my answer there. The next question is a very good question, and again, it's another one I'm going to actually struggle to answer. But it is, how can we expect players and staff to stay loyal when some of the fans have given up and are not showing up to games? I'm going to come at this from a couple of angles. I think, firstly, the answer, I think the reason why people aren't coming to games is because of all of the off-field issues. So I don't know if there's that much more that the players or staff can do to, or coaching staff, should I say, can do to increase gates at Reading home games. I mean, obviously there's a financial aspect of it all, like they could reduce prices, but then we need the money. So that's probably not viable either. But I do think it's a good point that there have been a few games recently where the average attendance has slightly dipped. And obviously, even in the good times this season, we're only really half filling our stadium, which, you know, given the level of football we're playing and all that kind of stuff, is still great. Like, it's still right up there towards the top attendances. But, you know, long gone are the days where we'd be averaging 17,000 and maybe even selling out from time to time. But that said, though, Blackpool at home last season on the last day, the place was packed and it was fantastic, and the boys got a great result. So I would love to see more of that, because I do think there's obviously a tangible benefit that the players will dig deeper. You see Harvey Nibbs every single game, almost from the off. As soon as anything happens, he's waving the fans up. Like, I think the support really does go such a long way. And also, I think, coming back to the sort of January question, the more support we can give these guys, the more we can make them feel confident and good about themselves and how they're playing and how much we appreciate them, I'd say that the more chance they stay. Like, I know that that's probably irrelevant when you talk about players that might conduct a huge fee or the opportunity to play in a higher league. Look, they're probably not going to turn it down, and we're probably not in a position to turn down the money. But yeah, I just think if you can get down to the Madstad or Select Car Leasing Stadium, they're the same place, by the way, but I always struggle to say Select Car Leasing Stadium first. Do it. Like, you really won't regret it. The players are playing their hearts out every single game. Our home form is fantastic. We're scoring loads of goals. Just do it. You seriously won't regret it. It's a great time down there. If you've got kids, take your kids. They'll all love it. And times are quite good, particularly at home on the pitch. I have to keep saying on the pitch because I know times are not good elsewhere. One last question then. It's also a bit of a copy of the one above. How do we get 17,000 plus the home games and show our backing for Noel and let the players feel like we can achieve things if we stick together? Like, I think I've actually covered that off. So apologies, but yeah, get down there. get down there and make Noel feel welcome as the first team manager, because he does deserve it. And we can achieve big things. We're proving that time and time again now. We have a really strong squad. We have a really strong first 11. But even the squad players that we're bringing in from the under-23s who have benefited from being under the reign of Noel Hunt in the under-23s are solid options. We can really push on in this league, and let's give these players a reason to want to stay and play for Reading and earn promotion this season, because it is possible. If you look at the current form, we are bang on for the playoffs. So, yeah, get down there. Not much more I can say on that. Let's just do it. Let's create a great atmosphere at home and continue our fantastic home form. Right, that's it from me. Plenty more football to come. We head to Walsall next up, but we'll catch you next time. Thanks as ever for listening. I'm sure Jimmy will be back next time. Please like, subscribe, retweet, follow, everything you can do to help us get this podcast in front of the right people. That's you, Royals fans everywhere. But until then, come on, you are.